In class, very long time ago, we did a problem about Tupelo Township, where you had two sections of land and they were all chopped up into different size pieces, and we were trying to figure out how many what fraction of a section each person owned, and then we were buying and selling land, and the only way we could do that was to get them to all be the same size. So we had to cut them all up to be exactly the same size, and then once we knew what that part was of the whole, it was really easy to just count all of the pieces. So that's why we want to find common denominators. To find a common denominator, we need to remember what we know about factors and multiples. So if we look at our two denominators, we want to find a number that both of our denominators go into evenly. We could also say we want to find the least common multiple of the two denominators. So if I'm adding 1/3 plus 3/6, the smallest number that 3 and 6 both go into is 6. I could also, if you're having trouble with this, you could list out the multiples of 3, 3, 6, 9, 12, multiples of 6, 6, 12, 18, and I don't even have to go very far because I realize that 6 is the smallest one that's on both lists. Some people may not need to do that if you feel like you're pretty good at finding common denominators, but if you need to, that's a really good strategy. So our least common denominator is 6. So I want to turn both of these fractions into something out of 6. Well, this fraction is already something out of 6, so I don't need to do anything else with that fraction. I just leave it the same. 1/3, though, I need to split that into 6. So if I draw 1/3, if I split the thirds into sixths, I now have 2/6. And it's also, you don't necessarily have to draw the model every time. I'm just, for those people that maybe forget, it's also just as easy as multiplying. So when we multiply 3 times 2, we get 6. So we have to multiply 1 by 2, and we get 2. So 2/6 is the same fraction as 1/3. Those are equivalent fractions. So I'm now adding 2/6 plus 3/6. That is 5/6. So 1/3 plus 3/6 is 5/6. Our next example, 2/3 plus 3/4. The least common denominator of 3 and 4 isn't 3 or 4. 3 doesn't go into 4, 4 doesn't go into 3, so I need to find a number they both go into evenly. 3, my multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12, and I know that 4 also goes into 12. So 12 would be our least common denominator. If I'm trying to get 3 to be 12, I'm trying to split thirds into twelfths. I would be multiplying by 4. So I need to multiply the numerator by 4 as well. So 2 times 4 is 8. And then 4 times 3 is 12. So 3 times 3 would be 9. So now I'm adding 3/12 plus 9/12, and 9 plus 8, I would then have 17/12. 17/12, you could also write that as a improper or a mixed number. I'm sorry, it is an improper fraction. You could also write it as a mixed number, just to review mixed numbers in case anybody forgets. 12 goes into 17 12 times, so that's one whole. And then if I take out 12 from 17, I have 5 left over. So that would be 1 and 5/12. Now, when we're doing subtraction, it's very, very similar. Find a common denominator, and then you need to subtract the numerators. So my common denominator, I'll go a little bit quicker this time. My common denominator between 8 and 4 would be 8. So I have 8s minus 8s. 7/8 would stay 7/8. 2/4, if I'm turning fourths into eighths, I'd multiply times 2. That means I multiply 2 times 2 as well, and that would be 4/8. So I have 7/8 minus 4/8. 7 minus 4 is 3. So now I have 3/8. The last example, 9/15 minus 1/10. My least common denominator is 30. 15 goes into 30 by multiplying 15 by 2. So 15 times 2 is 30. That means 9 times 2 is 18. And then 10 times 3, 10 times 3 is 30. So I have to multiply 1 times 3, which is 3. So now I'm subtracting 18 thirtieths minus 3 thirtieths. When I do 18 minus 3, that's 15 thirtieths. And if I were to simplify this, 15 thirtieths, I can divide both of those numbers by 15. So that would also equal 1/2.